This video, we're going to make a login component, as you see here. We're going to have a username, a password, and a submit button. So we could say something like this. All right, let's take a look and see what it takes to build this thing. First off, we're going to right-click, add new, and let's add a QML file. Let's call this login, the ever-descriptive login. I try to do most of these videos from this point out as end-to-end, meaning 0 edits, just so you can see every little thing that I'm doing here. And we're going to go cute quick controls. So as always, if I get tongue twisted or you hear like a car or a dog barking, I appreciate a little bit of patience here. All right, so first thing we know we want this to do is we want to actually emit some sort of login signal. So I'm going to say signal login. Some type of username, some type of password. And this isn't going to be like super high-end secure. We're not going to like hash or encrypt the password or anything. We're just going to pass back whatever the user entered into this component. And let's actually flip over to design view. Now we've got our basic item here. I'm looking for a column, our buddy, the column. And let's go ahead and layout. Let's just fill that parent. And let's add some stuff here. I want to add a label. And let's add a text field. We can jump into copy and paste land here. Gonna say username, and let's actually call this txt username. Grab this, copy paste, and while I'm thinking about it, let's do, I don't know, 10 for a spacing. I'm just kind of guessing there. Call that label 1. Let's call this txt password. And because this is a password, we want to change the echo mode. So I'm going to say echo mode equals text input dot password. Now I want some type of button here. So let's actually go ahead and say button. And let's go ahead and anchor this bad boy. So I'm going to say anchors, and I want the horizontal anchor, horizontal center, sorry. And we're going to say parent, horizontal center. And in case you really just don't like code land, we can flip back to the designer. It should actually work. And this is going to look a little squirrely here because we've got this item's just massive. We can actually scale that down if we wanted to, but then it's going to add this margin. So I'm just going to Control Z. And we're going to leave basically this thing up to its own devices. Now, if we set the size here, this is where it's going to auto scale. So let's actually go in and say 200. Little too small, so let's say 300 by 300. And we can actually adjust this a little bit more. That's not bad, actually. Let's say 250. And let's go ahead and save this. And I'm going to go into our connections. Where's my button? There you are. I want that on clicked. Now we know this guy has a nasty, nasty habit of crashing on us, so I'm not going to play around directly in that. I'm going to actually go in here. And we're going to actually say we want to emit that login. And there's our username and password. So I'm going to say txt username. Voila, should be working as expected. We might want to beautify this a little bit more. So like we could take a text field here and we could say width. Save that, and let's jump over to our main file. And this is going to be extremely simple here. We're just going to go login. Let's say 250 and height 200. I'm just guessing at this point. Anchors, center in parent. And we want to call that on login. There we go. I shouldn't say call. We're actually connecting a signal and slot in the background. And I'm going to go in here and say import Qt quick controls and add in basically whatever version you want. Some people are what I call version snobs, where you've got to use the newest, latest, and greatest for everything. Really, use the version that works for you. Some people are going to actually need the older versions. Some people are going to need the newer versions. I'm using 2.3 because in this specific version, well, it's the default one inside the designer. I'm trusting the designer to pick the right version for me, which might not actually always be the case, but you get what I'm saying. So I'm going to say pop-up ID, and there is actually more science behind that. It's not just, the designer doesn't just randomly guess. It looks at like minimum value that you want and things like that based on your setup. So we're going to say anchor center in parent. And I want to make this modal. I want to give this focus. Of course, we need the close policy, and I'm going to say pop-up. And I want close on escape or pop-up. Close on press outside. And let's make a center label here. And let's go ahead and set a text of just blank. Now in our on login slot here, I'm going to say LBL status.text equals the username. Remember, we're getting the username and password from that actual signal. And if you're kind of confused, it's ta-da, right up here. And let's go ahead and pop up .open. And just for good measure, console log, I want to actually see what's going on here. So I'm going to say username. And notice I'm doing commas instead of plus signs. This is something you can do. And we're just passing multiple values here. Let's go ahead and save this, and let's run it and see what it looks like here. Ta-da! Beautiful. So I'm going to say Brian, and my super top secret password, let's say. Going to open up the app output, and let's clear that just so we can see. Ta-da! Brian, and then I should have username and password. Works as expected.